Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Sunday, June 30th. Over the next few days, we'll have another trough moving across the Great Basin, and this will bring an increase in winds, especially up north, where we'll have some stronger winds, but also further south, where we'll have stronger winds combined with lower humidity. This front will also bring isolated thunderstorms to parts of far northern Nevada and southern Idaho. These thunderstorms will be on the drier side and moving pretty quick, although RH is a bit elevated, still a risk for new fires. Also, we'll have some isolated to scattered thunderstorms over central and eastern Idaho and down into eastern Utah. As we move into Monday and this trough pushes east, that moisture will also move east and the winds will slide further south. By Tuesday, we're looking to see lighter winds region-wide, but temperatures will really start heating up later in the week. Over the last 24 hours, we've only seen some scattered thunderstorms over eastern Utah and a little bit of moisture with that, along with some isolated showers further north. Our Great Basin fire activity, we had reported 15 fires for 25 acres and 50 acres of new growth on the Little Twist. Over the last 7 days, we've generally seen dry conditions. The only moisture has really been in central and eastern Nevada and over into Utah. Otherwise, below normal precipitation for the time of year over much of northern Nevada up into Idaho and along the Sierra Front and far southern Nevada. Our ERCs have been on the rise. We are seeing ERCs above the 90th percentile in southern areas and also in the dead fuels over parts of eastern Idaho into Wyoming, and things again are on the rise across Nevada. Looking at a couple of our ERC charts, in central areas over western Utah, we are seeing ERCs near normal or near the 80th percentile, but are expected to climb over the next week with these hotter temperatures we're expecting later this week, and similar conditions along the Sierra Front. We are expecting those ERCs to continue to rise to above the 80th and possibly even 90th percentile over the next 7 days. Our satellite image shows that trough of low pressure moving into the west coast, which is responsible for our winds and that chance of lightning out ahead of the trough. So for later today, you can see we do have a high risk for lightning over parts of northeast Nevada into southern Idaho. These storms will be pretty isolated, but confined to right along the Idaho-Nevada border, both in northern Nevada, could even stretch as far west as the northeast part of the Winnemucca district, across Elko, and then up into southern Idaho. However, even though these thunderstorms will be pretty isolated, we are expecting them to be on the drier side, so still a risk up there. And then the winds will be picking up ahead of that trough with the lower relative humidities over eastern Nevada into western Utah, where we have those high risk. The winds up north will be stronger up in Idaho as well. However, we are seeing some higher humidities and fuels that haven't been totally critical yet. So looking at that picture, you can see the humidity up in Idaho remaining above 20% in most areas and more in the single digits to teens further south. So again, that's our biggest risk with the winds combined with the low single digit humidity over western Utah into eastern Nevada. And then you can see some of the winds indicating some outflow winds from thunderstorms over northern Nevada up into southern Idaho. So again, for today, temperatures will be generally in the 80s and 90s. Our hottest temperatures will be across Utah and in the far south. And then you can see the probability of precipitation, better chances of scattered thunderstorms with some showers over central Idaho, but it's really these isolated storms that'll be on the drier side along the Idaho, Oregon, and Nevada borders that are most concerning. And then the scattered thunderstorms over eastern Utah. As we move into Monday, this trough pushes eastward, so again moving that moisture and those winds. So our high risk for winds shifts a little bit further south tomorrow. No high risk for lightning, as much of this lightning will be in areas where fuels aren't quite critical and will be moving out of our geographic area. So on Monday, we will see relative humidity in the single digits to teens over the southern half of the Great Basin. And you can see the winds still breezy, as probably strongest over southern areas of Utah into the Arizona Strip. So again, that's where we have our high risk, where those winds couple with the lower relative humidity. And then still gusty winds up in Idaho. So if we do see some lightning in northeast Nevada and in the southern Sawtooth, there is a risk for spread on Monday as those winds move in and the air dries out a little bit. Still could have a few more isolated storms even on Monday in northeast Nevada and northern Utah. Temperatures will rise a little bit but be cooling over northern Utah, so definitely quite a bit cooler on Monday than you'll see today. And then the probability of precipitation, again, we could see some isolated storms over northeast Nevada near the Idaho border again and up into central Idaho. Once we move into Tuesday, the trough moves well to the east, pushing much of the moisture out. We are seeing a stronger ridge of high pressure build along the west coast with much drier air in all areas, so no high risk. Relative humidity will be dropping region-wide, and winds will also be dropping. Still some breezy winds over parts of Idaho, Wyoming, and northern and central Utah, but for the most part quite a bit weaker than what we've been seeing here the next couple of days. Temperatures will be generally in the 80s and 90s, 110 down in the far south, and then again much of that moisture exiting the area. Precipitation, you can see most of the wetting rains will be over eastern Utah near the Colorado border, and again more spotty precipitation up in Idaho and Wyoming with the cold front. As we move into Wednesday, the ridge really starts to strengthen with hotter and drier conditions, so you'll see significant fire potential on the rise. Temperatures will also be on the rise. We'll see many areas, especially in western Nevada, reaching above 100 degrees, heading towards July 3rd and 4th, so really towards the holiday period. Very hot and dry conditions and very warm and dry conditions region-wide. Those conditions continue into Friday and Saturday, so really on tap for a hot, dry week across most areas once this moisture moves through. And the next chance of moisture looks to be maybe late in the week or towards next weekend, especially up in Idaho. But again, generally lighter side of precipitation and most areas staying dry. 7-day precipitation, therefore, doesn't change much from the 3-day, as much of the showers and thunderstorms will be moving through the next few days. And then the 8 to 14-day outlook from July 7th through the 12th shows well above normal temperatures, so very hot temperatures expected in the west, and generally below normal precipitation in much of Idaho and western Nevada, and still that monsoon moisture returning to parts of Utah and southern areas towards the middle of the month. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest updates.